Welcome back, everybody. Today is the debut of a new mini-series, my Seasonal Games series. Yes, with 4 episodes per year, and this one is titled Winter Games 2024, but obviously releasing in time for the start of winter on December 21st, 2023. So, to not be overwhelmed with too many games to play every year, I'm going to do 5 games per episode, and of course, contribute more in the comments section, whatever games you enjoy playing at that particular time of year. On this list, I've got some longtime favorites, I've got some new games that I tried out. It's a nice little blend of genres as well. So let's begin with the first one, Snowboard Kids 2 for the Nintendo 64, released in 1999. Now, I first tried Snowboard Kids a long time ago at my cousin's house. I can't remember if it was Snowboard Kids 1 or 2, but I've always had the game at the back of my mind, never owning it, never replaying it, but always wanting to get back to it. There were so many things about it that were so memorable, from the cartoony characters to just the gameplay itself, being able to do stunts and being able to kind of battle each other with these Mario Kart style weapons and power-ups. Upon replaying it, it's not exactly the most fun or most refined game. I've put probably a couple hours into it at this point. I've unlocked some new courses in the main story mode. Story mode's kind of silly. It's got a very light story, just episodic things going on between the group of friends. Snowboard Kids 1 plays very much in the same way, but I didn't linger on that game for too long. I wanted to get to this one. Now, this developer, I should have mentioned this at the beginning actually, Rakjin. I had never heard of them before. It was published by Atlus, but this developer, Rakjin, when I looked at their games catalog, they've mostly worked on some Bomberman titles, and they've also done some licensed games like Bleach and a couple of others that I can't recall right now. But Snowboard Kids 2, not exactly the best game on this list, that's why it's coming out first, but if you want a fun little racer, something that you could just pick up and play every once in a while, and there's some stuff that you could do as you earn your coins during the story mode or during any of your races. You can spend those in the village, you can buy new snowboards with better stats, you can paint them with these different styles that are available, and there are a couple of different game modes that you could play as well. The story mode was interesting. After a few missions, as opposed to just doing another race, there was actually a different style of gameplay. So as you're going down the slope, there was a snowman that I had to combat, and that was pretty cool. But yeah, Snowboard Kids 2, check it out. You can see from the footage what it is. Let's move on to the next game. Next is Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey for the Nintendo 64. I desperately wanted a hockey game in this first iteration of the Winter Games, and it was just painful playing through a few of the earlier ones. I tried my luck with the NES games, but I eventually settled on this one for the Nintendo 64, published and released very early on, 1996, by Atari. And on the Nintendo 64, it was published by Midway. There was actually an arcade version that came out just earlier in the same year, I believe, also published by Atari. And the interesting thing about this game and its release is that its first version was in North America, and then it went to Europe, and then last in Japan. Now, there's probably other sports games that follow the same pattern, but to me, it's so rare that a game would actually release in North America before Japan. Anyways, so the gameplay, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, it's really fun. You don't even have to know what you're doing. It's in one of those like combat sports games, or the sports games you don't have to take too seriously, like an NFL Street, maybe NFL Blitz. I haven't played that. Like a Super Mario Strikers, I think. I haven't played that either. I have familiarity at least with one of the NFL games. It kind of combines this really silly party fighting antics and shenanigans with 3-on-3 hockey. And the way that you play, you're mostly going to be running your character, whichever one you're controlling at the time, into the opposing players and just slashing them or checking them, whatever it is, to try to get them off the puck. And then when you get the puck, good luck. Probably use a boost like I did to get towards the opposing net, and then just quickly release it for a quick goal if you beat the goalie. I experimented with a couple of different tactics and strategies, and most of my luck came down to what I just described to you. Control a player, body check, get the puck, race up the other end, and shoot. You can mess around a little bit with the passing, but it's a little bit risky. Don't count on your goalie to make any saves. In some of the games that I played, I think the scores went up to double digits. Like, I have footage here where one of the games is 10-9 or 9-8. It's ridiculous how many goals are scored in this game, but it's fun. And like I said, it's not a game where you need to know about the sport, because it's like a party game when you're playing it. And that said, it's really fun on your own as well. So that's why I'm including it here. I got my hockey game, and there we go. Hockey for winter, perfect. Next is a very popular game, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Yes, released, well, I played it on PC. It first released in 2011, and I probably played it around that time, and developed and published by Bethesda. Now this game, I mean, I don't have to describe it too much, right? You all know that it's an epic, massive RPG adventure taking you through the wilderness. Most of it is going to be decorated in snow and these wintry landscapes. A lot of it, though, is still going to bring you to a lot of spring-like clearings and some grassy areas and some forests as well. You're going to be coming across wolves and giants and dragons and all kinds of mythical creatures. Now, in the footage that I captured for this video, there were a lot of visual glitches. And I read online that that could be because of my frame rate. I have a 144 hertz monitor, and I think I just try to play every game unlocked, and that could be ruining the game's graphics. So maybe if you want to go and replay Skyrim this winter, see about patching that, or maybe downgrading the frame rate to 60 FPS. Anyways, I just felt like I had to mention that in case a lot of you are going to be picking on the footage in the video. I don't know what I'm going to include yet, but there were wolves jumping up and down. There were mud crabs spawning up in the air. The rivers were flashing between blue and brown and all kinds of other stuff. But when I first played the game, it was a marvelous adventure. Replaying the game on new character types with different builds was equally fun. You know, being a thief and pickpocketing everybody, or trying magic out, raising the dead, buffing yourself, casting illusions on people, whatever it is. And of course, the mod workshop is so heavily developed at this point. You can mod your game in hundreds of different ways. So there's Skyrim. I don't need to focus on it too much more. You all know what it is. And if you don't, check it out. It goes on sale every year, so pick it up. Next is a game that I've had my eye on for a really long time. I like these kinds of simulations and strategy games, but I just didn't get around to it until this year because, hey, winter games, this is the perfect reason to start this game up. And it is Frostpunk, released on PC in 2018 by a studio I'd never heard of, 11-Bit Studios, and they published their own game themselves. Interesting stuff with the studio. First of all, some of you may have heard of the game This War of Mine, which is another one that I want to get to someday. And if not, you probably won't know anything else that they've worked on, although they have published a couple of other games that you may have heard of, such as Moonlighter. And one more interesting thing about the studio, it's a bunch of Polish developers, and some of them are also from CD Projekt Red, who are known for making the Witcher series, and most recently having a bit of a flub with Cyberpunk. So, Frostpunk, a really fun game, similar to one that I've talked about before, Banished. So it's one of those town-raising simulation games, except the interesting part about this one and its main mechanics focus on this generator that is the center of your town. And you're going to be building out from your generator in this radial style mapping on the ground. So building placement is really easy. You're still going to make mistakes like I did, but then you'll realize, oh, okay, I just kind of follow this radial design and I can plot my buildings like this. And of course, like all these other games, you'll need some roads, and that'll make everything work a little more efficiently. Actually, it's the only way to make things work. I feel like I should talk about the story a little bit, because there's a very nice, hand-holdy way, but also not too much, not too focused on hand-holding, and it's not too slow. It's a story mode with a tutorial built in, and in this particular story mode, the game takes place in the late 1800s, and it's an alternate telling of a catastrophic event that I think actually took place in real life, and I'm sorry that I forget it, but you can all look it up on the wiki. And what happens basically is the world experiences global cooling, mass cooling. And so you are these new Londoners that have to go up north, and I think you're trying to reestablish contact with some Londoners who left before you. Well, it's up to you to survive in the wilderness. You take the role of the captain and you're leading this town. And as you play the game, you're going to be seeing these survivors coming and going. Some of them want to leave, and it's up to you to try to keep them so that you can keep the hopes of your town high. If your hopes drop too low, that's not very good. There's a lot of things that you got to manage, from your resources to the population's feelings and moods and sicknesses as well. And a cool aspect about this game that something like Banished does not have is there's a macroscopic view of the town and the little geography that's nearby, and you can send out some troops, some units on expeditions. And then when you do those expeditions, they can find resources, they can make contact with other people. If you successfully bring them back, then that can bolster your population or, recoup the resources. So there's a lot of interesting things to do in this game. It is challenging. It is going to kick your butt. You probably are going to lose, but don't get bogged down on that. Right? Go into the game just with an open mind, wanting to have fun and experience the mechanics. Don't be afraid if you lose again, because I'm somewhat experienced with these games and I still lost my first time, but I still had a really good time with it. And this is probably the game that I will play the most of this winter. I want to beat that campaign. So there you go, Frostpunk, a really good game. Finally, I'm rounding out this list of 5 games with Minecraft. Yeah, the most popular game on here, and not exactly a wintry game, but I'll get into that in a moment. So I should just mention, since I've done this with all the other games, I've played it on PC. It first released in 2011. I have basically been playing it since that time, or even before, maybe like the beta in 2010. Mojang Studios, at this point with the other platforms that it's released on, there's even Xbox and Sony publishing the game, but I played it way back when. However, every once in a while, usually around this time of year, in the winter, I like to replay the game and see what changes I've missed out on and how the game has developed and all that kind of stuff. What patches and what new items and new mobs and enemies and mechanics might have been implemented in the game. Now, the best way to set this game up for winter, obviously, is to find some kind of wintry or snowy biome. When I replayed the game last year, that's exactly what I did. Maybe it was the year before, can't remember. I don't play it every single year, but every year or 2 or 3. And for this footage, I just saw that there were new generation menus and options in the menu. So when you're starting a game world, you can select what biome you want to be in. And I chose this snowy taiga, I think, or a snowy forest of some sorts. Really cool stuff with Minecraft. It's the kind of game where you can make your gameplay experience match the weather that's outside. So when it's a snowy day out there, you just get bundled up inside, get your hot drink, find a snowy biome, and then go nuts, right? Build your log cabin, go for some hunting, just do your harvesting and whatnot in the daytime, and then get ready to fend off the mobs at night, however you want to play. I don't need to tell you how to play Minecraft. I'm just including it here, the last game on my list, because it is one of my favorite games to play at this time of year. All right, so those are the 5 games. I should probably do a little mention of some honorable mentions. There are some games that do winter exclusives at this time of year. Dota, even though I don't want to play it anymore, I've spent enough time on that game. At this time of year, there's the Frostivus event, which is fun. And you can also equip a wintry terrain so that your battlefield is going to look all snowy and nice. I wanted to talk about Animal Crossing because it is so unique in the winter, but most of my time spent playing that game is actually not in winter, and I don't feel like the winter season has the best gameplay in Animal Crossing, so I opted to leave it off this list, but it just deserves some mention here at the end of the video. And then the last thing I'll say is, if there's a game that you were maybe expecting to hear, it could always appear on another iteration of these winter games. And I did play some more games that did not make the cut. I'll mention now Lost Planet for the PC. That's where I played it. I think at the time I first heard of it, my buddies were playing it on Xbox back in high school. So this is a much older game. I played the Extreme Condition version on PC. I wanted to like it. I just didn't. I'll give you a heads up right now. The next video coming out this year, and the last one for the year, is going to be the games that I beat in 2023, and I will talk about Lost Planet more at the time. If you like it because it's a wintry game, then great, go and play it. But these are my 5. Snowboard Kids 2, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, Skyrim, Frostpunk, and Minecraft. So that's it, everybody. You can look forward to the next version that comes out in spring of 2024. Hope you all have a great winter. Enjoy some of these games, and let me know what you are going to be playing as well. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.